Welcome everybody, this is Happy Dynast, and originally this video was meant to be just a simple review of Avowed. But I found myself surprised by how much it feels like a step back from its predecessors that I couldn't help myself but to dive into different discussion. So here's my take on why each new Obsidian game falls short of the one before it. I am going to compare Obsidian's action RPGs because sticking to one genre lets us see the evolution or a regression of their game design most clearly. I will start with what many consider Obsidian's crowning achievement, followed New Vegas. For a lot of people, New Vegas is the greatest RPG ever made, and when you dig into it, that reputation feels completely justified. I would say the reason it's held in such a high regard is that it puts players' choice and freedom front and center. Right after you step out of the first house where the game begins, the world is yours to tackle however you want, no hand-holding and no barriers. You can follow the main quest if that's your thing, or ditch it entirely and dive into side quests. If wandering and exploring is more your speed, go for it. You can head straight to the DLC content at level 1 if you are feeling bold, or skip half the main story by racing to confront Benny and dealing with him on the spot. You don't even need a weapon to take him down. For example, if you start as a female character and grab the Black Widow perk at your first level up, you can get your revenge the moment you drag him down. But it doesn't stop there. The developers made sure a player's choice and freedom comes first, so revenge isn't your only option. You could roleplay a courier with Stockholm Syndrome, acting like your character has fallen for Benny, and the game supports that. Later, if he is still alive, you can even choose to save him. New Vegas gives you a ton of ways to handle any situation. To drive this home, you can finish the game without killing a single creature, or go the opposite route. Wipe out every NPC and still complete it without a hitch. That's the kind of game design that makes this title legendary. When people say they want New Vegas 2, they are not really begging for a sequel set in the same location. They are craving a game that offers this level of freedom. This design shines even brighter thanks to the stellar writing. Everything feels thought out and cohesive. The characters are so compelling that fans still argue over who to side with in the story years later. The game also throws a wide range of companions your way, and they are so well crafted you want them tagging along. Boone, for instance, is a fan favorite, but Veronica, Cassidy, Raoul, Arcade, and even the RoboBrain dog Rex have their own loyal followings. Another standout feature is the sheer variety of weapons. Compared to other Fallout titles or even Obsidian's later games, it is like an ocean next to a puddle. You got everything: boxing gloves, knives, swords, pistols, throwing spears, assault rifles, bazookas, rocket launchers. Then there are the grenades, mines and explosives, plus different ammo types for every gun. Weapons come with mods that actually change their look when you equip them. Want to craft your own explosives or ammo? You can. Need healing items? Cook up some remedies. All of this unfolds in an open world that reacts to you. NPCs notice if you steal, battles react if you punch them or shoot them, and you can pick up random items and lug them around just because. NPCs even have daily routines. Maybe farming in the morning, chilling at the bar in the afternoon, and sleeping at night. I'm highlighting all this because it sets the stage for what comes next. Now let's dive into Obsidian's other releases and see how they stack up. Let's jump from 2010 to 2019, when Obsidian released The Outer Worlds. First, I want to touch on the context of its release because I think it shaped how people review it. This game was marketed as a spiritual successor to the Fallout series from Obsidian, the folks behind the Fallout New Vegas. In the months leading up to its launch, Bethesda managed to create a controversy by announcing a $100 a year subscription service called Fallout First. This move pissed off a huge chunk of the Fallout fandom, who were already fed up with Bethesda over the buggy disaster that was Fallout 76. Right into this mess steps Obsidian, hyping up the Outer Worlds. I bring this up because I think it's why a lot of people picked up the game in the first place. They were mad at Bethesda for fumbling the Fallout franchise and latched onto the Outer Worlds as a way to say, look, they did what you do, but better. That is probably why folks weren't as critical of it as they should have been. So let's talk about the game design of the Outer Worlds. This game is a step back from Fallout New Vegas in pretty much every way, except maybe graphic quality. Gone is the open world, instead you get series of semi-open zones you travel between on your spaceship. And no, you can't just go wherever you want this time. Your ship is missing a power regulator, so you got to fix that first. Then you don't have a nav key, so you go to deal with that too. Game won't let you skip a huge chunk of the main quest anymore. Sure, there are a few quests you can bypass, and you can sometimes cut them short by killing NPCs who drag things out with their side quests, but that's about it. The quest structure feels deliberately restrictive and annoying. Take the first mission, you need that power regulator to fix your ship. But even if you wipe out every NPC in the starting town, you can't just grab it. You are forced to slog through the first dungeon. It's the same deal later, when you need to intercept a signal. But local factions are broadcasting. You either do their side quest or kill their leaders to move forward. No chance to, let's say, use a high hacking skill to isolate signal and skip the busy work. The writing might be the biggest downgrade from Fallout New Vegas. The factions feel half-baked, the companions are forgettable, Parvati is the only one who is even tolerable, and the story is just dumb. Everything happens because every character seems to have an IQ below room temperature. There is a real plot point where people are getting sick because all they eat is tuna and nothing else. The dialogue and humor feel like they are ripped from a C-tier 90s sitcom. Oh no! I told him to plant the beacon and step away! Not stand there holding it! Weapon variety takes a hit too, way fewer options than in New Vegas. There aren't even grenades in this game. World reactivity is another letdown. It's clear downgrade from New Vegas. You can still steal stuff off the tables and NPCs will get mad trying to take it back or confront you if they can't. But that's about where it ends. Pickpocketing is an option, but NPCs have randomly generated loot now, so you can swipe their gun to disarm them or slip a grenade in their pocket. Not that you could, since grenades don't exist in this game. Okay, sneaking is dumbed down too, so you are way more likely to get caught than in New Vegas. Shoot an item, it won't budge, you can sleep in any bed without consequences, NPCs don't care. And forget daily routines, NPCs just stand around doing the same thing forever. So yeah, a game that came out 9 years after New Vegas managed to downgrade most of what made that title great. But hold on, because now I'm going to talk about Avowed, which is even more recent and somehow takes Regression further compared to the Outer Worlds. I mentioned something similar in my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 critique, where I pointed out how people overlooked flaws in that game, because no one called them out. We can bet KCD3 won't bother fixing them. I think the same thing happened here. Nobody complained loud enough about these obvious issues, so Obsidian is just letting their games slide backward. And it seems like no one cares enough to push back. But hey, wise saying says that opposite of love is not hate, but apathy. Let's us fast forward to 2025 and talk about Avowed, the whole reason I am making this video. In Avowed, we are back to a semi-open world setup. I will give credit where it's due, the location look way better than in Outer Worlds, and there is some verticality to the maps that makes moving around more engaging. I am saying moving around instead of exploring on purpose though, because exploring these maps isn't all that fun. Sure, there are plenty of chests and bugs to loot, but the rewards are a letdown, mostly just upgrade materials and bottom tier weapons. Or in other words, boring junk with no real value. Unique weapons or armor, good luck, they are there, but they are very rare. You also can't just go wherever you want right away. The game starts with a mandatory tutorial sections you have to slog through before moving to the next map. Even if you wanted to branch out early, the game's tier system discourages it. Every piece of gear has a tier, and if you are wielding a tier 1 weapon against a tier 3 enemy, you are in for a long, painful fight. They will barely fear your hits, but they will drop you in a few swings. The same goes for the main quests. If you are the type who just wants to power through it, you will hit higher tier enemies fast and it turns into a grind. I managed it myself thinking, okay, the fights are tough and annoying, but I will get a better weapon as a reward and it will even out. Nope. By the time I grabbed a tier 2 spear, every enemy was tier 3. I used that spear to take down the Steel Guard captain and got a tier 3 greatsword. Guess what? Everything jumped to tier 4 right after, because after the Steel Guard captain I moved to the next location and everybody was tier 4 there. This chase persists the whole game. I have said before that Fallout New Vegas was built around players' choice and freedom. Avowed flips that on its head. Every design decision here is about boxing you in, forcing you to play exactly how the developers want, skipping chunks of the main quest or shortening them. That is just a distant memory now. You can't finish this game without killing anyone, and you can kill NPCs unless the game explicitly says so. Want to roleplay your character your way? Tough luck. You will roleplay only when this game will allow you. Stats, they are just second fiddle or afterthought next to the tier system. Dialogue skill checks are just window dressing now, they don't actually change anything, unlike in New Vegas where they could cut quests short. Everything in Avowed shoves you toward the side content whether you like it or not. So, is that content any good? Well, let's see. You are playing as an envoy of Adirian Empire's Emperor, someone who is representing Imperial will in the Living Lands. Let's see what kind of side quest they cooked up for such a lofty figure. First side quest. Oh envoy, some bird stole my crewmates' necklaces. Can you parkour around the ghetto for 5 minutes to grab them? Second quest. My friends are immigrant criminals being hunted by people from their past. One is blind. Can you fetch herbs from the forest for his blindness? Oh, and when you do that, then please pay 1,000 coins to smugglers to smuggle them out of your empire's colony because they have murdered some of your countrymen and want to skip consequences. Third quest. Envoy, a few lizards moved into my house. Can you kill them? I could make up the fourth quest that is not in the game, but thematically it would fit right in, which would be like, hey Envoy, my soap fell onto the ground. Please, can you bend over and pick it up? With quests this thrilling, it's no wonder they have to force you to do them. There are also bounties to collect, which might make sense if you were a random mercenary, not an imperial envoy. And don't get me started on the money situation. You are broke and pushed to upgrade gear constantly. I am thinking, hello, I am the Emperor's envoy. My ship crashed, sure. But shouldn't the embassy hook me up with funds and gear so I can at least look the part? The writing is a slight step up from the Outer Worlds, but only because they dialed back that awful sitcom humor. Compared to a New Vegas, though, it is still a massive downgrade. Factions are another letdown. In the New Vegas, you had a full-blown faction system, reputations shifted based on your actions, with nuanced consequences and well-thought-out groups. The Outer Worlds had a forgettable factions, but at least there was a reputation system. High rep got you discounts, low rep made them hostile. In Avowed, factions are just background noise. Mentioned here and there, with rare chances to pick a side, but they are not part of the world like Caesar's Legion or the NCR. You know. Companions in this game, all forgettable. There is this Animencer woman who heals you, and she is probably the best companion because of that, followed by this fish guy that can tank. Then there is Dwarf who's all mysterious about his past, his gimmick is falling asleep when Animancers talk. Yay, Marvel humor, yay. And then there is the Pocket Princess Mage. She is the worst, most annoying with weird flirty dialogue, and she is useless in fights in my opinion. Weapons, there is more variety than in Outer Worlds, but it's still a pitiful shadow of the New Vegas. No mods that change weapon models, no ammo types, in fact, no ammo at all since Avowed ditches it entirely. At least you get grenades this time, which is funny when you think about how their sci-fi game had none. But their fantasy one does. The world feels lifeless and static, there's no crime system, so no stealing or pickpocketing. Stealth is barely there, you can sneak up on one enemy for a kill, but the second you do, every enemy knows you killed him, no matter how far away, and they will find you quickly. My best stealth run was taking pot shots from afar and hiding behind a rock after each shot. Most NPCs are glued to one spot. When they do move, there is this weird lag. I specifically mean when town NPCs move, not the enemy NPCs. Nothing is interactive, attacks don't affect the environment, NPCs can be killed unless it is scripted, and you can pick up items at all. Everything is just a set piece. I griped about Outer Worlds NPCs ignoring you sleeping in their beds. Here you can even sleep in their bed. Instead, you touch a green rock to camp and another to stop camping. Finally, combat. If I broke this game into percentages, I say 70% is combat, 20% is running around, and 10% is dialogue. It's clear most of the dev budget went into fighting. I will admit combat can be fun, it's not amazing, but it is perfectly serviceable. The problem that tier system screws it up. If your gear's one tier below the enemies, they are tedious damage sponges. One tier above, you will one-shot most foes, but that only happens if you backtrack to earlier areas for some reason. Same tier, they are still spongy, just less so. I never felt stronger in my playthrough, even with the best gear I could find. Every fight boils down to this: a tank or damage dealer charges you, flanked by trash mobs for support. Clear the trash, then focus on the big guy. Once I clocked this pattern in my second run, I uninstalled. There was nothing left worth sticking around for. So after breaking down all 3 games, why does each new Obsidian title feel worse than the last? It's a shift in design philosophy. They went from prioritizing players' choice and freedom in Fallout New Vegas to obsessing over how developers want you to play in Avowed. Then there is the feature purge. From Fallout New Vegas with rich roleplay options, skills, mechanics, and reactive world to Avowed static, uninteractive set pieces, lackluster writing, and combat-only focus. What is next? You can't keep stripping features and expect sales forever. At this rate, they will drop you in a hallway with enemies, call it AAA game, and charge you $100 for it. Honestly, I don't see this trend reversing anytime soon. If you want to support my channel, please like and subscribe. It's the best way to help small channel like mine to grow. That's it. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.